right, $1 million picks. We're already up, house. We won $300,000 on Christmas Day, thanks to the Ravens.
Merry Christmas.
And thanks to the Chiefs. And we still have a Seahawks bet. We're taping this before the Seahawks game, but we have a Seahawks bet with Baltimore minus 9.5 adjusted. And the Seattle money line, that was plus 312. So we could be up another like 155K after tonight. I like some of the games this week. I know you already did Ringer Gambling Show. I didn't hear it yet because it's not up. But the big game and the hardest one to figure out in a while, and I think the most even great matchup we've had all season, is this Vikings-Packers game in Minnesota. And the Vikings, it's around 1.5. Right now it's Vikings 1.5. You could make really strong cases for each team. I think there's a lot of public kind of love and affection for the Packers right now, which would make me a little nervous for them. Green Bay lost to them earlier in the year. And Green Bay is 10-2 in the last 12 weeks with 2 Detroit losses. And people are leaning Green Bay in this house. And we have to treat it like a playoff game. Means more to Minnesota because if they can win this, they beat Detroit next week. They're the 1 seed.
Right.
Green Bay's pretty locked into the 5 or 6 seed. Not sure it matters. Where are you leaning on this one?
I'm inclined to look at that Green Bay side, mainly because of just how effective they've looked on both sides of the ball. Their defense has just been so impressive. They're able to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They're still generating turnovers. There was skepticism earlier in the year. I'll put my hand up about, their defense was producing what felt like an outsized number of turnovers, and that was the way that they were able to look so good defensively. But they've continued to do so, and now it looks like their offense is healthy. And now Jacobs they're really leaning into that run game. And it looks like last year where Green Bay went on this run at the end of the season when Aaron Jones was finally healthy. And he led the NFL over the last 5 weeks and into the playoffs. Aaron Jones for Green Bay in rushing. And I kind of feel like they're gearing up in the same direction with Jacobs. It's not intended to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form towards Minnesota. I mean, it is the line, I think, is super fair. And I think, the money line is minus 108 for both teams. Like that's how even this is in the book. And I think that's totally appropriate. Green Bay outgained Minnesota the first time they played by
I watched that game though. That game was over. They were up like 4 touchdowns. And then there was a lot of garbage time stuff with Green Bay. And it kind of belatedly somewhat became a game, but not really.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was a lot of end of the game shit.
These teams tend to split against each other just historically. Yeah. It's an important division game. So my lean would be Green Bay, but if the Vikings go win, like who's going to be shocked?
So I guess where I've landed in this game is if it was in Green Bay, I would like Green Bay. And because it's in Minnesota, I like Minnesota more. Fine. I just think these teams are dead even.
Yeah.
And you throw in the home field. There's one other piece with Minnesota though. First of all, I do think they're better than people realize. And I and we've talked about this a bunch on this podcast, but they became a but team. And we've had but teams before that I thought was justified. Like there was that Cousins Vikings team a couple years ago that we were like, what? This team's not good. What? This record's ridiculous. Look who they played. The Vikings are 8-0 with Hawkinson.
Yes.
Which I think matters.
Yeah.
The Vikings are 6th in DVOA. Green Bay is 3rd. The Vikings are 2nd against the run. They're 1st in creating turnovers. They have a top 5 pass rush. But the thing I really like the most about them is these 2 receivers they have with Hawkinson. I always feel like they can get a drive if they need it.
Yeah.
And if this game's in the 4th quarter and they're home, I just like their chances to go down the field. Like one stat that I think is, I saw this and I was like, how is this the best total? But it is. They lead the league in least amount of percentage they've trailed when they were on offense in the game. They've only trailed for 22% of their snaps on offense. They've been trailing in the game, which basically means they're always ahead. They're always in charge. They're always in the lead, which is good for home. But then they also have the ability at the end of the games to get a drive if they need it and to make a big play if they need it. And Green Bay is going to do cover 2. Like their defense actually matches up pretty good with the Vikings. But I like this Vikings team. And to me, it's like, if you believe in this Vikings team, you kind of have to take them this week. So if you don't, you're basically saying, I don't believe in this team.
I don't know. Do we go that far?
Yeah, I think this is a playoff game. I do. I think this is playoff rules this week. I think we have to approach it like playoff manifesto.
I don't know. I don't know what's Green Bay, doing if it really is a playoff game, right? Like that's
I'm saying for Minnesota, it's a playoff game. They win this game, they have a chance to be the 1 seed. They play Detroit. There's also Conspiracy Bill would like to enter this for 1 second.
Go ahead.
There's no Sunday night Week 18 NBC game right now. It's either Minnesota, Detroit, or Rams, Seattle, which we might not get if the Rams just beat Arizona this week, which we're going to have coming up in $1 million picks. The only other possibility is Minnesota, Detroit, but Minnesota has to win this game. And if that doesn't happen, now we're into who'd you have? Carolina versus Atlanta?
Atlanta. If Atlanta
Carolina, Atlanta, Sunday night.
Yeah, but that would be good because then you'd have Bryce Young against Michael Penix.
How is that good to have Carolina, Atlanta as the last game of the season? That's not good at all. Carolina has 4 wins.
It would be hilarious is what it would be.
I just wonder.
It's just spunky, but go ahead.
I just wonder, does Minnesota get some calls in this game?
Well, they will be at home. They'll get home calls, you expect, for sure. I don't, this one is just a stay away because it's
we're not
dead even. Away. You don't get any, I don't get any value on either
Can't
side.
Stay away. This is, we have a big little nest egg of $1 million picks, and this is the best game in a while. We have to put a bet on it.
Go ahead.
Let me give you something that I thought was interesting. Green Bay since week 5. They're 9-2 with 2 Detroit losses, right?
Yeah.
Here's who they beat. Matthew Stafford in week 5 with no Puka, no Cup.
Yes.
Kyler Murray. CJ Stroud, no Collins in that game. Trevor Lawrence barely beat him. He had his best game of the year. He threw for 300 plus yards against them. They won by 3. Caleb Williams. They were up. Chicago's up the whole game and should have won, and then Green Bay won it late. Brandon Allen on San Francisco. Tua on cold weather on Thursday night Thanksgiving. Geno Smith, and whatever the fuck was going on with the New Orleans quarterbacks last week. Those are all their wins. They haven't played anything remotely approaching Sam Darnold, Hawkinson, Addison, and Jefferson, and Aaron Jones. This is by far the best complete offense they've played
now
since
do
week
Minnesota.
4. Well, I know Minnesota is the same thing, but I'm saying you can't use that case against Minnesota and then not use it against Green Bay.
Well, I think they're in very similar positions because this is a gigantic step up in class for Minnesota. Minnesota's defense hasn't seen anything like this Green Bay offense. Look at these offenses that Minnesota has seen since they lost to the Rams in week 6 or 7, whatever it was.
Yeah,
they played the Colts with Anthony Richardson.
Ooh.
They played the Jaguars. They played the Titans. They played the Bears. They played Kyler and the Cardinals, which was a huge comeback game. Right, the Cardinals were up. That should have been a Cardinals win.
Not a great Vikings game.
They got Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. In his triumphant return to Minnesota, which ended his career in Atlanta and maybe his career in NFL football, and the Bears and the Seahawks. The best game, the best win was going into Seattle and coming down to the wire.
But that's the irony of this. Both teams' most impressive win the last 2.5 months was Seattle, who also might not be good.
Well, they're kind of they're good enough to be fighting for a playoff spot. Yeah. But yes. If we're going to do that, we have to do it for both teams. And the interesting thing to me, you made the case for Minnesota's offense looking good. You want them with the ball at the end of the game. I would say the exact same thing about Green Bay. To me, it's not that dissimilar from the handicapping of that Thursday night Detroit Green Bay game, where it came down to which team had the ball at the end.
It's a great game.
Right?
I don't think there's a wrong answer. I just feel like people have tilted more toward the Packers, and I feel like it's dead even. And I think
Minnesota's favored.
Well, they get the -1.5 because they're home.
But I'm just saying,
if this was in Green Bay, Green Bay would be -1.5 over Minnesota.
True, but like the public hasn't jumped in yet with a big perspective.
So you're thinking it's a stay away?
I mean, if you want to put something small in it so that you can say we did it and it's fun, and then Minnesota wins, it's like excellent. Now we have Minnesota and Detroit in Week 18 for the 1 seed. That would be awesome.
So we're taping this at 11:17 Pacific time.
Yeah,
December 26th, Thursday.
True.
The line is completely flipped. It's now Green Bay -1.5 over Minnesota.
So somebody stepped in. That's a
somebody
syndicate
stepped
play.
in. Yeah. That's a syndicate play. So the line moved 3 points. And now it's Minnesota -102 plus 1.5 and Green Bay -116.
Somebody's taking a stand.
Does that make you nervous or what?
I honestly think that we're going to see 1 or 2 more of these over the course of the next two days. I bet the rival syndicates.
So you think Green Bay is going to get to -2.5?
No, I think somebody will come back in in the other direction, and
I
that,
gotcha.
It's going to flip again.
Vikings being +1.5 means they're now in tease territory.
Yeah, that is. You would want to do it right away. Right away.
Well, we can do it right away.
Wait.
We're taping $1 million picks as we speak.
Good point.
Any interest in throwing them in with the Miami Dolphins in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be rain.
Tease Miami down to
Miami down, or we could basically do, tease what is Miami 6.5? Yeah. Tease
to a half.
No, tease Miami down to money line and do Miami +7.5.
The only thing that would concern me about the Miami situation.
Well, there's a lot of things that concern me. I don't know. You're going to go with only?
The single most prominent is if DTR, anything happens to him at quarterback. What I want to see is where Jameis is listed in terms of
Did you
depth.
read? I was on Browns Reddit today, which is one of the darkest places in the internet.
Poor
it's
guys.
Just absolutely brutal. There's even on Browns Reddit, there's even should we make a run at Kirk Cousins this offseason?
No.
Yeah, that's a thread on Browns Reddit.
Oh, my God.
It's dark, man. It's some of the darkest shit you'll see. But Browns Reddit was saying that apparently Jameis is hurt too. And if anything happens with DTR, it's Bailey Zappi time.
Oh, well, now I'm feeling better. Okay, now we can do Miami. Fine. Now we're good.
It's Bailey Zappi, injured Jameis, or it's DTR who has 1 touchdown and 9 career picks.
Well, I thought they already said that DTR is going to start. My concern was that DTR would start. Something would happen to him, and then Jameis would come in and throw 4 touchdowns.
DTR's playing not 100% healthy, though.
Well, I mean, I just need to I want certainty that Jameis will not come in. Because if Jameis comes in, then I feel like that's
for some reason you're worried about Jameis. To me, I'm not worried about Cleveland's offense in this game. I'm worried about the Dolphins in the rain just doing
I understand.
Classic Dolphins stink bomb.
We don't have to put them in a teaser. I mean, there's other good legs. Dallas is a pretty good teaser leg.
Well, the reason I brought them up for a teaser is just, at some point, these teams, the franchises are kind of steering them toward a top 5 pick, right? Yes. I don't think the Giants want to win. The Raiders are stupid.
Agreed.
Like, they couldn't help themselves last week. But there's certain teams that I just feel like are good with not winning another game.
Yeah.
And
Giants
Cleveland, to me, feels like one of them. Like, if you're Cleveland, Bailey Zappi's the move this week. We had Bailey Zappi on the Pats. He is not a competent quarterback. You want to put him out against Miami next week. You want to bench or you want to rest like a defensive starter who's a little banged up. Like, there's subtle stuff you can do to make sure you don't win again. Because
for sure.
Because there's a couple, like Tennessee plays Jacksonville. Both those teams are 3-12. One of them are going to be 4-13 after 4-12 after that game. So Cleveland can jump up a spot there. The Pats might beat the Chargers for all we know. Like they might be able to nudge up.
Yeah.
That was what I was thinking about. And plus Miami really needs the game. They're still in the playoff race.
Yeah, still in the race for sure.
So maybe, because I have another tease I want to do with the 2 LA teams.
Okay.
So maybe we'll mark down something with Vikings Dolphins just for fun. Next one. You said on the Ringer Gambling Show that you like Cincy at home -3 in what's going to be bad weather. They're kind of technically alive still. Denver needs a game. This is weirdly a playoff game in some ways.
Right. Right. No, I think both teams will treat it like a playoff game. And this is exactly why my handicap is in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's why I prefer the Bengals. I like the team with the players that have actually like played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The team that doesn't have the rookie quarterback. And, Bo Nix, these nuts, they have been throwing the football all over the place, and we're seeing the version of him that kind of makes sense, right? He's throwing picks, multiple picks every week. Bo Nix, these nuts, and the Denver Broncos. The only thing would be with their defense, they're getting Riley Moss back. So they had 2 of their last 3 games. They gave up 32 points to Jameis. They gave up 34 points to Justin Herbert. Their secondary was getting eaten up. If Riley Moss comes back and he's able to go up against Jamar Chase, that's an incredible matchup. But I love all the other weapons that Cincinnati possesses.
Is back, by the way. I was checking in with my buddy Gus. My buddy Gus, my only person in my life who truly knows the Broncos. And he was telling me when Moss got hurt, we're in major trouble. This guy, Levi Wallace, is a disaster.
Yeah.
Levi Wallace has been cut.
Released.
He's not even on the team anymore.
So long, Levi.
Moss is back. So I feel like that. I know it's one guy, but I really feel like that's going to flip their secondary.
He's
in a
an
major
important
way.
guy.
Yeah.
Let there be no doubt.
There's some other cases for them. Do you have more on your case? Because I was going to add some counters.
I'll stop now. I mean, Cincinnati hasn't been good at home, so I prefer to not lay any points at all. Just let them, win the game. But Cincinnati money line was my preferred play.
Last 6 weeks, Denver's 5th in DVOA, despite some of the secondary stuff and despite some of the turnovers by Knicks. Cincinnati's 29th against the run, their defense. Cincinnati's 30th QB hits. So basically, this is the perfect team for Denver to play with Bo Nix, with the way kind of how up and down they've been. This is a team that will not pressure him, hit him. They're just not going to do anything. Denver's defense, they're, first in hits, first in hurries. They're going to be able to pressure the Bengals' offensive line, not exactly like a juggernaut.
No. I mean, a strip sack fumble last week against the Browns that helped me lose a nice teaser bet on the Cincinnati team total. That was 24.
Well, then the Dallas game the week before, Dallas was going to beat them.
Yeah.
Right?
Dallas was going to
Dallas
beat them.
is pressuring them and doing stuff. So I look at Cincy's wins. Here are the quarterbacks. Have you done this?
No.
Quarterback Cincy beat this year: Andy Dalton, Danny Dimes, Deshaun Watson, and Thompson Robinson, same game, because I think that was the one Watson got hurt. Minshew, Cooper Rush, Will Levis, Thompson Robinson. It's not great. I don't think Cincy's good. Is where I'm really landing. And I think we think they're good because Burrow's good. No other real aspect of their team is good other than the receivers and Burrow. Now you can make the counter case when they have Chase and Higgins together with Burrow. They've just been really good and been able to move the ball. I get it, but I kind of like the Denver +3.
I don't mind the points. I really don't mind grabbing the points. And there was a minute when it was 3.5 and that got stashed up. So it's down to 3. And I really do kind of understand the case. It's a rookie quarterback on the road in
bad
a playoff
weather
game, right?
Bad weather.
But if you want to argue the other side,
what
they've been good on the road. The Denver's been good on the road this year. They beat Tampa in Tampa. They beat the Jets in New York.
10 days rest.
Yeah, extra rest for Sean Payton.
9 days rest. Where they play?
Whatever.
They're playing
it's
Saturday.
Extra.
Right?
It's extra rest for them and short rest for Cincy because Cincy's a Saturday game.
Sean Payton versus Zach Taylor.
Yep. Well, Zach Taylor did coach in the Super Bowl.
This one I love. The all LA money parlay.
Yes, this is wonderful. Great.
Rams home for the Cardinals. All the Rams have to do is win, and they win the NFC West. Chargers at the Pats. All they have to do is win. They're -4.5. And there's some subtle cases against them, right? Their offense isn't that good.
Yeah.
They have trouble getting first downs. It's the type of team, like, even if they had a lead, Drake May in the second half, like, doing stuff. There's a Ladd McConkey piece that I don't think can be undersold with the fact that the Pats had that pick, traded back 3 spots for a guy who basically doesn't play, who had played 3 snaps. McConkey's, just him running amok in this game is almost a lock. I don't know what the player props are for him. But Chargers need the game. Rams need the game.
Yes.
And it just feels like a classic LA money parlay, and it's minus 114 on FanDuel, and I would like to partake.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's do it in a meaningful increment, because we both are believers, and that's some fantastic. I mean, the other sort of side to this. Remember how good favorites have been. Moneyline favorites have been absolutely crushing this season. Favorites 75% since week 5 in terms of outright wins. And favorites have been covering it nearly like 56 or 57% since week 5. Like both of those are, you look back 25, 30 years and those rates are all the way up there. So we're just doing the thing that's staring us in the face that helped us make money last week, helped us make money on Christmas. We're going to make some more money on Saturday, but I want to just add another wrinkle. Let's go ahead and do whatever you want on that Rams Chargers. We have to put the Colts in. Colts have to be a leg in every money line parlay that we do. Really, any kind of combination, the Colts have to be in every one of them. Just on the money line, Colts beating the Giants outright has to be an element of it.
Well, that goes back. I had the Colts. That goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is certain teams are just done winning games this season.
The New York Giants are one of those teams. I assure you.
We're out. We are done.
We are
done. It's a wrap.
It is.
You had them in the Ringer Sunday pregame last year. Or last
week. Yeah. And I was choosing. It was dumb. I had already chosen Carolina as my underdog.
It wasn't a bad bet. It was plus 350. It was
right. That's
you
right.
knew within a quarter. It's like, the Giants are done for the season.
The Drew Lock pick 6. That was it. That was the end.
So are you saying we anchor strategy a little bit with Chargers Rams? Anchor strategy. Okay.
Well, to me, the anchor is the Colts, because I'll put the Colts with anybody the entire across the slate.
Here's what makes me nervous about that. Anthony Richardson, I just can't get there. If there's any quarterback who's ready to just single-handedly kill all of our Week 17 parlays and teasers, it's him. So I just want to proceed with caution.
Think about that. Like him, not Michael Penix last week, but Anthony Richardson this week.
Yeah. So a couple things with that Rams game really quick. Rams are 6th in DVOA last 6 weeks. Thanks to Aaron Schatz for that. They've won 8 of their last 10. And I don't think people realize how grim this Cardinals situation got. Yeah. Missing both of their starting tackles on offense. They're pulling practice squad guys in that are now going to be starting for them. James Conner is hurt. Might play, might not play. Their defense is falling apart. Hubbard had 152 yards last week. Carolina scored 36 on them.
Sure did.
It just is grim, and there's a reason the line is where it is. And because initially I was like, Cards, upset maybe. And I looked at all the numbers. I was like, oh my God, plus no way they're winning.
Layer on top of that all of the McVay stuff. 15-2 against the spread in his last 17 December games. 25-10-1 all time in December, McVay. The Rams against the Cardinals. The Rams kicked the Cardinals' ass. 12-4-1 against the spread over the last 8 years against Arizona. 10-2-1 when they're a favorite against the spread, the LA Rams. I'm laying the points with them. They're in the money line parlay. They are part of our anchor strategy. We love the Rams. The defense also kicking ass. The last 2 weeks held both the Jets and the 49ers under 10 points. Now you say, look at where those offenses, two of the most disappointing teams in the NFL, but still holding NFL teams on the road to under 10 points. That's impressive.
Chargers, Pats. The case for being nervous about this would be the Pats played well against Buffalo for about an hour and a half last week. I would just point you to 10 horribly game managed, coached, executed plays. They can't help themselves. They surprisingly did not have a lot of penalties last week. Those penalties will come back. The Pats are just incapable of playing 3 good hours in a row. Okay. So for them to beat the Chargers would really have to fuck the game up. And I don't know if they're a fuck the game up team.
I mean, you would have Jared Mayo beating Jim Harbaugh.
You would have that. You would have a team that would decide in week 17, maybe we shouldn't throw backward passes inside our own 10. Maybe we should punt down 10 with 8 minutes left. Something would have to dramatically change with the penalties, the coaching, the execution. I could see them potentially backdoor covering that -4.5, but I did not see them winning.
Yeah, I'm good. We're on the same page.
All right. And then the last one I want to talk about, you mentioned the Colts Giants. I mean, we don't need to talk about that. Eagles Cowboys, that line has dropped too. It was 9.5 all week. Now it's 7.5 on FanDuel. And I had a bet that I mailed you last night or this morning.
Oh, hold on. I see 6.5.
Oh shit. It's still dropping, huh?
Something's going on.
Yeah, 6.5. Well, Hurts might not play is what's going on.
Oh, okay. There we go.
And
There's
I had
enough uncertainty.
Yeah, I had wanted to do an alternate bet with Dallas to 4.5 when it was 9.5. It was like plus 172. That's now plus 126. Which I still like more than the 6.5. But so if we had the Cowboys and we do an over of like what 37.5, I don't know.
Well,
what are you thinking?
The total's at 39.5 in that game as it is. I'm worried.
What are you worried about?
Just messing with that game at all.
At all?
Like, yeah. What
you think all the value's gone because of the Hurts thing?
Yes, that's exactly what I think. I would have loved Dallas. I love Dallas at 8.5. I loved them at 9.5. The 10 was an incredible number. Now down to 6.5. I kind of don't want to mess with it because Philly got enough with Pickett of like game. Pickett can play now, right? He got 3 quarters of real live NFL football, high stakes, high leverage, and they'll run an offense.
What are you doing right now?
I'm not.
Did you just make a Kenny Pickett case?
No. It's just like Philly being ready for the game case. That's what I mean. That's all I'm saying. He's not a guy that's like playing with the first team starters for the first time in practice this week. That's all the observation that I'm making. I have had enormous success riding with the Cowboys, and I'm so upset that they lost to Cincinnati on that Monday night stupid punt thing.
Their defense since Parsons has come back has been legit good, and their secondary is legit good. So I couldn't interest you in Dallas plus 10.5 with the over of 30.5 at minus 115.
Oh, well, sure. That. Yes. Because now we're talking. Those are the numbers. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm into that. That's a good one.
Or Dallas. Yeah, because I don't want to tease Dallas with another team. I want to confine it to the game.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Me either. That's fine.
So Dallas
would like nothing better than to go beat Philly.
Dallas plus 10.5 with the over of 30.5.
And Philly's done, right? They don't. There's nothing for them to play for.
I think it would be insane for them to play Jalen Hurts. I don't understand why they would do that at all.
I totally agree with you. I agree.
You're going to be the 2 seed. That's where you've landed.
No, they're going to be the 3 seed.
I'm sorry, the 3 seed. Yeah. 3 seed or 2 seed?
The 3 because Minnesota or Detroit is going to be the 2.
No, because they're the wild. We can only have one seed in the
Great point. I forgot. They're the 2 seed. That's right. You're absolutely right.
Your brain went NBA for a second.
I did. I messed that up. You're absolutely right. They are going to be the 2 seed. They are locked in 100%, 1,000%, 10 million%.
All right, it's time. $1 Million Picks Part 2 holiday week. We're already up $300,000. Plus, we have this Seahawks bet coming that we could win. All the Seahawks have to do is win on Thursday night, and we're up another 155.
Come on, Gino.
Our big bet. We are doing an all LA parlay. The LA Rams to finish business against a Cards team that is arrow pointing down. Rams have been really good last 6 weeks. Rams just to beat the Cardinals. Just to beat them. That's it. All they have to do is win the game. Parlayed with the LA Chargers in New England against my beloved New England Patriots, who are feisty but are incapable of playing well for 3 straight hours. Chargers Rams just have to win. Minus 114, House. Are we going big?
We love LA.
And by the way,
we love it.
I've somehow figured out a way to be more furious that the Pats won this game and knocked themselves out of a top 5 pick. If
it costs us
I don't
money.
want the Pats to win anymore. Let's just get weapons. Let's finish in the top 2, and then we can trade back for a team that needs a quarterback and get a lot of assets from my guy Drake May. Please don't win this game, Pats. We're putting $250,000 on that. Chargers, Rams, minus 114. We talked a lot about Bengals versus Denver and Cincinnati in the rain. Cincy minus 3. Cincy with no good wins whatsoever. Cincy, a team that just loves to shoot themselves in the foot. I'm going to take adjusted Broncos plus 7.5.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to put that with the Chargers and the Rams for 50K. That's plus 169, House.
That's fine. So you want to be in business. You want to be in business with Bo Nix D's nuts. I'm not going to get away with that business.
It's a Sean Payton, Denver.
That's your business.
Secondary is good again. Like, just a little sprinkle.
Love it.
Two more that we like. The Cowboys going against this Eagles team that Jalen Hurts, we don't know what's happening. The line is dropping as we're taping the pod on Thursday morning. The line dropped from 9.5 to 6.5 for the Cowboys, plus 6.5. We're going to bring them back up to Cowboys plus 10.5 with the over 30.5 minus 115. 100K?
That's fine. I mean, if you want to do smaller, that's fine too.
50K? Let's just put 50K. All right, yeah. 50K.
Just a little divisional rivalry. It'll be fun. Yeah. Philly hates Dallas. It'll be great. I mean, Dallas has been playing so good over the last 6 weeks.
The Parsons effect.
Yep.
Michael
amazing.
Parsons, the only guy with a podcast who's playing well.
They're gonna
only athlete podcast who's actually succeeding at sports these days.
Jerry might have to buy that podcast for $250 million so they could afford to pay him and keep him under the salary cap.
What would happen if Jerry formed a media company and then just paid $100 million for the Michael Parsons podcast? That would be an interesting idea.
It's a collective bargaining agreement violation, I'm sure, but still.
Last one, Colts against the Giants. We both love the Colts.
We do love the Colts.
The Giants do not want to win football games anymore.
They do not.
They're good.
They have told us.
They're done. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Colts first half game. They have to win the first half. They have to win the game. Combined with the Vikings plus 7.5 because we have to have some sort of scratch on this incredible Vikings Green Bay game that we argued about. You like Green Bay a little bit more. I like the Vikings a little bit more. The line has shifted. It was Vikings minus 1.5 all week. As we're taping this, it's Green Bay minus 1.5 now. We're going to grab those Viking points, bring them up to plus 7.5. That is minus 113. I would like to put 100K on that if we could.
Okay, fine. I don't mind rooting for a close game between Minnesota and Green Bay. That's fun.
And then we also have this Dolphins game that we can completely stay away from. Dolphins against the Browns in the rain, some Bailey Zappi potential. Also, Tua in bad weather. Dolphins need the game. Probably a stay away.
I think it's a stay away.
Okay, I'm fine staying away from the Dolphins.
Good.
So that's it. And we should mention one of the reasons I like Minnesota is because the NFL needs a very good Week 18 Sunday night game. And Minnesota, Detroit would do the trick. Collinsworth, they'd have to hose him down.
Well, I can't wait to see
Sam Darnold, Mike. I haven't seen anything like this.
We got him with my guy Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix this coming Sunday night. Atlanta in Washington, 8:30 on NBC. Primetime Jaden against the Penix. We're going to see
Notice we steered clear of that game. That is a stay away. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Anyway, we are up 1.764 million for the season pending the Seahawks game. And hopefully the LA parlay will take us over the 2 million mark. Those are the holiday edition part $2 million picks for week 17. House, I hope you ate a lot yesterday.
I did. If we hit this LA parlay when I'm out there 2 weeks for the Ringer pregame show, we'll celebrate with an LA parlay.
Of the LA parlay of food?
Yeah, we'll go to Momofuku for lunch, and then where are we going to go for dinner?
I have like a smash burger.
Major Domo.
I have a smash burger place for you.
All right.
I have an Indian food place for you.
Ooh.
I have some wrinkles for you for this trip.
What a parlay.
Can you do salads for the week before you get here?
I'll try my best.
You got to like really clear the intestines.
I'll
got a lot
try
of
my
good stuff
best.
planned for you.
I can't wait.
House, great to see you. Happy belated Christmas.
Happy holidays to all.